Thank you for connecting today to this webinar. We're going to be talking about our Master in Global Business and Society, but the session is going to focus on application tips. So our first round of applications is coming up on December 1st. So we wanted to run a webinar to give you insights on what we're looking at in every part of the application. And not only that, but giving you some advice so that you can present the best application possible to be successful in the admission process. My name is Camino de Paz. I'm the Assistant Dean of Global Network Programs at Yale School of Management. And I'm not alone in this webinar. I'm running the webinar with two of my colleagues, Elena Heath, who's behind the scenes making sure that everything runs smoothly. And Elena is going to be posting our brochure on the chat. You can download it. Everything is also on our website, but in case you want to look over our brochure while we talk, that's a possibility. And I'm also here with my colleague, Matt Lassans, who's going to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Lassance. I'm the Assistant Director for Admissions. Excited to be here and talk a little bit more about the application and how to create your best application for this upcoming year's cycle. All right. And I think I am kicking it off. So I will dive right into it with our first slide. So wanted to start this off talking a little bit about the application pathways and just kind of when is the right time to apply. We have two different application pathways that you can choose. Both of them lead to the GBS program, but depending on where you are in your journey, one may be better for you than the other. So maybe you're thinking about applying to a MIM program. So you haven't started your MIM yet, but you're thinking about it. You're thinking about the GBS program. That's perfect. That is a great time to be considering it. And maybe you want to look at one of our partner schools. And so you would be filling out the GBS application while also applying to your MIM school. And we have a number of different partnerships with schools all across the globe. I do want to preface the deadlines in the next slide are going to be specifically for our GBS standalone. The deadlines for these programs are going to be a little different, but as you're looking and thinking about applying, maybe you want to fill out both applications and start that application process to figure out what do the next 2 years of my journey look like. On the flip side, maybe you are currently enrolled in a MIM program, or maybe you've recently graduated from a MIM program. That is also great. And you would fill out the GBS application. It would be the standalone or sort of just the GBS program application while you're completing your degree or shortly after you've completed it. The really great thing is neither one of these pathways is right or wrong. It's really figuring out what pathway is right for you. All pathways, though, do lead to the GBS program here at Yale SOM, which is the really exciting part. So let's talk a little bit now about what does the timeline look like for this, especially for this year. It's changed just a little bit. We actually moved up our first round just to allow students to hopefully find out a little bit sooner, get started with, taking the steps to find housing and prepare all of their self for the journey to Yale. So our first round the deadline is going to be on December 1st, and that's open to applicants from all of our GNAM partner school programs. That round is exclusive to those partner schools. Just keep that in mind. That being said, maybe you're not from a GNAM school, and that's okay. We definitely encourage you to still apply in rounds 2, 3, and 4, open to students from all across the globe. And that's one of the really great things about this. Now that we've moved that up, it allows you to kind of submit a little bit earlier. That way you can start working on the visa and all that fun stuff. But our round 2 deadline is January 12th, round 3, February 23rd, and round 4 on March 30th. Usually with these, we go through the process and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but we'll go through the review process. Then, I believe it's 2 to 3 weeks after we'll start reaching out to, begin that process of interviewing students. And I believe it's a month to a month and a half, usually, maybe a little bit longer, before we start releasing decisions. So keep that in mind. One thing I do want to note with this, though, is just because you apply in round 1 doesn't guarantee you admission. Just because you apply in round 4 does not mean that you're not going to be admitted or there's not any, merit-based scholarship funds available. We have seats available in every single round. We have merit-based scholarship available in every single round. Apply when your application is at its best. So just keep that in mind as we are, going through the many different parts of the application. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about transcripts and test scores, which I know are always a big piece to any application. We're going to talk a little bit about your resume, recommendation letters, video questions, the essays, all of the things that really come together to create an excellent or application. With all that, I want to make it clear. Yes, we are looking for academic excellence. We're looking to learn more about what you've done both professionally and academically, maybe what you do outside of, the workplace or outside of your educational institution. And one of the biggest things is we really are looking for people that connect with our mission to educate leaders for business and society. They're curious, they want to help, they want to become the leaders that are going to hopefully change, the future in business and society for the better and continue to bring us to even more prosperous places in the long run. So these are all things to really think about. We'll dive into them as we're going through these next things on a, each piece individually basis. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them in the chat as we are going through these, and we'll respond to them at the end, each one. And with that, I'll pass it over to Camino to kind of kick us off and talk about transcripts.
Thank you so much, Matt. So yeah, keep your questions coming. We will take them all at the end. Regarding the transcripts, we want to see all the transcripts from your academic journey so far, since your undergraduate studies. We don't need to see your high school grades, but we do need to see all your undergraduate studies. If you have transfer schools, there are people who start at a university and then transfer to another one. We want to see grades from all the universities you have attended. If you have gone on exchange and you have a transcript from the host school, we also want to see that. So every grade during your undergraduate studies that you have, we want to see. Also, transcripts from your main program. If you are currently enrolled in the main program, we know that you might not have, complete transcripts, but whatever you have up to the point of application, we want to see. Unofficial transcripts are acceptable until enrollment, but once you enroll, we are gonna require official transcripts. And we need, for those transcripts that are not in English, we do need translated and notarized copies of those as we review transcripts in the process. Regarding the scores, we do require a GMAT or GRE test score. These are the only two tests that we admit. So no executive assessment from GMAT or GRE. It cannot be waived. This is a question that we get all the time. This is a requirement for all our degree programs. So we cannot make any exceptions. Anybody who wants to apply to a program to Yale SOM has to submit a score. We also don't have a minimum or an average score. This is also a question that comes up all the time. We approach the admission process holistically. We review an application holistically, meaning that we look at every single aspect to assess your strength and not just one single aspect. So yeah, GMAT and GRE is one data point, but it's not the only one. So let's assume for a minute that you have an extraordinary undergrad transcript, that you've done amazingly well, that you are also doing amazingly well in the main program. You have very strong letters of recommendation, great experience so far. You are truly aligned with our mission. So if those strengths kind of shine in your application, maybe a GMAT or a GRE score that is a little bit lower will be fine because you compensate with other parts of your application. And then the opposite is also true. Like, let's imagine that during undergrad, you had a semester that, for whatever reason, you didn't perform as well as you would like to. And so your GPA suffer from that, and you don't have like a perfect GPA or close to perfect GPA, but you have a very, very strong GMAT or GRE score, that might compensate as well. So again, we don't get hung up on a score because it really depends on all the parts of the application. If you haven't taken the exam to enter your MIM program, there's still plenty of time to take the GMAT or the GRE. And Matt was saying before that you should submit in the round that you feel you can submit your strongest application. So again, there will be spots, there will be merit scholarship money in every round, so don't rush it to submit in one of the earlier rounds if you think that you can submit at a later round and have a stronger application. I also want to mention regarding the scores that if you have submitted a test score for your main program and has since then expire, we will accept expired scores. So we will not ask you to retake the test if the one that you submitted for your main school was valid at the time you entered that school.
Right. So let's talk about the resume. This is one that I think often gets overlooked. We've all got a resume sitting in a folder on our computer, and it's easy to just kind of upload that and not even really think about it. So what are we really hoping to see with this? So a 1 to 2 page snapshot of your professional career. We want to see chronological order. What have you done? What has your career been like? The different jobs, different maybe opportunities you've had. Oftentimes, people will include some of their, activities, some things that they do outside of the workplace. Absolutely okay to include that. We want to get to know you, get to know your history, your journey so far. Keep in mind with this, include all the work experience that you have to date. Make sure that it is clear, concise, focus on the achievements and the value that you added to these, organizations or businesses. Absolutely feel free to include a little bit of a description of what are some of these companies. While we would love to say that we know what every company and every organization and business out there is or does, we only know so many. And it's really helpful sometimes for, just that quick, small family business that does farming or something like that, just so we have an idea of, okay, this is what they were doing, or this is how this fits into their career journey so far. With that, we are going to be asking for proof of employment, and we'll talk about that on the next slide. So keep that in mind and make sure that your resume and the work in your application match up. We've absolutely had times, and I think this also goes to proof of employment, where people have a job on their resume but it's not listed in their application, or on the application they're listed as, say, an analyst. On their resume it says consultant, and then on the proof of employment it says intern. Make sure that these all kind of align and make sense. It's fine to put intern and then kind of put what you did, but make sure that everything aligns. And one other thing that I think is really key, if you, let's say Camino works for Yale and I worked for Camino. I did not work for Yale. Make sure that that is very clear that, if you're going to put that, you worked for Camino. And that is something that sometimes people overlook and kind of, you want to put Yale because it sounds great, but that then causes issues when we can't go back and verify that employment with Yale. And we will do that through our background verification as well as looking at your proof of employment. Speaking of that proof of employment, you're listing the organizations you worked for. Don't list unpaid part-time work that can't be verified by the company. It is fine to put this in a separate section if you want, but don't put that under the work experience section. Same thing as I just mentioned. If I worked for Camino, I didn't work for that company or that business or that org. You can certainly put it on there, but make sure it is very clear and in a separate section. That way it doesn't get misconstrued. And how are we going to figure out what this proof of employment is? We're looking for contract, pay slip, a letter or document from human resources, tax documents, things like that. An email that says, something along the lines of like, hey, we're interested in talking further about this position isn't going to be valid. Neither is a letter of recommendation. we look at that as, okay, they recommended you, but that doesn't, validate that employment. So those are some good documents to have handy, not just to submit for us, but also when it comes to background verification time. It's great to have those and be able to just send those along and hopefully make that process as painless as possible. And with that, I'm going to toss it back over to Camino to tell you guys a little bit more about those recommendation letters.
Thank you, Matt. So we are going to be requesting two different letters of recommendation. The first one is from a professional source. So please, please, please do not send letters coming from professors. We are going to be assessing your academic strength from your transcript, so we don't want to know how well you did in your econ class or your math class. We want a professional assessing your performance in a job setting. This can be your supervisor, it can be a colleague, it can be a client, somebody who really can speak to your strengths and weaknesses as a professional, who have really met you. Don't try to find your boss's boss that has never met you just because they are higher in the org chart. We really want somebody who has met you, and we value more somebody who has worked with you than somebody who has never met you and is just somebody higher up in the organization. So please make sure that you ask somebody who can speak to your professional skills. Give them time. Okay, don't give them like a couple days to submit a recommendation letter. They are busy. You want them to be thoughtful. You want them to take the time to reflect on their experience with you. So make sure that you give them enough lead time to prepare for this letter. Also, something that it's really, really important for us is that the letter has to be submitted directly by the recommender to us. So once you input the information, they will receive an email and they have to submit the letter themselves. You're not submitting your own letter of recommendation. So I can say it louder, but I cannot say it clearer. It has to be submitted by the recommender. Also, really, really important, the recommender has to submit the letter from a professional email account. We're not going to be accepting recommendation letters that come from Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo emails accounts. It has to be from a professional email account. If the recommender no longer works at the company where they met you, that it's okay. They submit from another company's email address, but again, it has to be a professional email address and not a personal email address. It can be submitted by application deadline. We need to have the application completed before we proceed with the reading. So please make sure that you ask well in advance so that by the time you submit the application, it is complete and we can proceed with reading your application. The second letter of recommendation that we are going to be requesting is for the dean or director of your program. This is, again, the person running the main program. And what we're looking for here is for somebody who tells us how good you are as a community member, how engaged you are, how well you will represent the school, how proud they are of you representing your school well. So this is the purpose of this letter. And again, we don't want a professor. We want somebody from the MIM office, somebody who oversees your program. If you are in the early stages of considering the program, meaning that you haven't even started a main program, so you are applying via our M2M pathway with HSE or UBC Souther or HKUST, who are our partners, then you will have to just waive this letter. Just submit it a Word document saying, hey, I haven't even started my MIM, so I don't know who the dean or director will be, and that it's okay. And then if you are applying via our 1+1 pathway, meaning that you are admitted to one of our partner schools, and then you decide to apply to us, that letter will also be waived. So again, if you haven't started the MIM, just upload a document saying I haven't started my MIM, so I cannot submit this recommendation, and that will be okay. Essays, and this is a very important part of the application. The first thing that I'm gonna say here is please, please, please write the essays yourself. It's okay to use AI to kind of, check for misspelling or correct some grammar mistakes, but please be genuine and speak your mind. We don't want to have to read general essays that are written by AI with no depth, no personality, and no unique traits. So make sure that you put the work, you do the reflection process, and then you speak your own voice, and then just use AI to correct those grammatical mistakes. But don't put the prompt on AI and just submit whatever you get back, because guess what? We will notice, and that's not going to be helpful for you. So the first essay, it's about the GBS. So the GBS is a second graduate degree. So it's not for everyone. You can do your MIM and be very successful in your career without having to do the GBS. So we want to understand why you want to do the GBS, how will it complement the MIM, what gaps you're trying to fill with the program, and how will the program help you impact business and society and progress in your career. So please take time to do your research about the program and answer thoughtfully this question in your first essay. We don't want you to tell us that you want to come to the GBS because you want a Yale degree. That is going to be very bad for your application. You have to explain to us why the GBS, how is it going to complement what you have so far, what gaps you're trying to fill, and how it's going to help you advance in your career and make an impact in the future. The second essay, you have a choice. So you can choose one of three options. The first one is write about a personal tradition that has deep meaning for you. Where did it come from, and why do you continue with it? This essay is, again, you have to speak from a personal point of view. Like, don't just tell us any tradition. We want to connect the dots. We want to see, okay, this is a tradition, but why is it important to you? How do you create this tradition, and how do you continue with it? Why do you continue with it? Why is it important to you? The second one is what motivates you to keep going when things get difficult, right? We all have challenges in life. We all have faced difficulties, but where do you get your motivation from? And so describing experience where your motivation was tested, where you were, proven, and how did you work those things out, and what do you learn about that, and how you overcame those challenges, and how you keep going and strong. And then the third one is what activity, interest, or pursuit makes you feel most fulfilled, right? We all have activities that really help us with our mental health or with our happiness, or that really helps us disconnect and makes us really fulfilled and happy. So what are those things, and what, how did you discover that, and what brings to your life, and what does it matter to you at a deeper level? So that's what we're looking for in this second essay. The third one, it's a funny one. It's, if you were an animal, what animal you would be and why? And please, please, please do not put this on AI. We all of a sudden see everybody want to be a specific animal, and this is like we can do the same thing, right? We can put the prompt on AI, and guess what? We get that same answer. So please be genuine. It doesn't have to be nothing sophisticated or like a rare species. It can be any pet, any animal. We just want to know, how you show your personality, and what animal you would choose, and why, and what traits of that animal you see yourself reflected on. So, and then, again, be genuine. We're not looking for any perfect answer. We're not looking for an animal that we've never heard of. We're looking for something that is genuine and that represents you. That's all. And then the fourth and last answer has to do with the future. Like, the GBS prepares you for a global career in very many different industries. So we want to know what your goals are. How do you envision your future career? Of course, you're very young and you don't have a crystal ball, so you don't know what your career will look like. But you know, you have an idea where you want to see yourself in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, and that's what we want to hear about. Like what parts of the GBS program and the flexible curriculum and the resources that Yale has to offer will help you achieve that career goal. So those are the 4 essays that you have to complete. Again, we want to see you. We don't want general essays that are written by AI. We want to get to know the person. And there's no right or wrong answers. We just want to get to know you. That's all.
And I think now I get to talk about the one optional essay. And I don't really even like to call it an essay. I think it's more of, an opportunity to kind of clarify something or a quick paragraph. So we do offer an optional essay to go along with the application. This is not supposed to be just another essay. Please don't write how much you love Yale, how much you want to be a part of Yale, as much as we, love hearing about your interests, hobbies, etc. Essay is more of an opportunity to explain or address anomalies, unanswered questions, things that you might have on your application that you think we're going to notice and we're going to ask questions about. I think some good examples of this is maybe there's a gap in your work experience. I know many of you are going to be on the younger side, but maybe you haven't had as many internships, throughout your college undergrad experience. Or maybe that first semester of college, you had a little too much fun and you didn't study as much as you should have, so the grades are a little bit lacking. This is a great opportunity to kind of explain what happened, what you've done since then, and how it's improved, and how we should, feel and make sure that we feel confident that it's not going to happen again. So, like I said, maybe you failed a class that first semester. Explain that to us. Own the narrative. Let us know, hey, I failed. I wasn't studying. I wasn't doing these things. It was my first time, out of the house, and I really wasn't mature enough for this. As you can see, though, my grades continued to improve. My, final semester of undergrad, I, had a 4.0, and during my MIM, I had, you know, an excellent GPA of whatever. I've made sure to work on my studying and my time management skills so this won't happen again. Perfect. Now we're not looking at it asking why do they have Fs here? What happened? We're saying, okay, they had them, they were a little immature. They've matured since then. They've grown, they've learned, and they had some self-reflection and understand what they need to do to be successful. That's perfect. Again, please don't use this for a love letter to Yale. Use this to address those sorts of things. Now the video questions, and this is a fun one. I think one of my favorite parts of the application, really. We have 3 video questions, and you'll be sent a link once you have paid and submitted your application. Usually, I think it's 24 to 48 hours after, you'll be sent this link via email, and you hop on. There's 3 questions. It takes less than 10 minutes. There's no retakes during this. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you are dressed for success. You've got a nice, quiet place to go about your answering. And I think, it's a really great opportunity for us to, one, get to know you a little bit better, evaluate your communication skills, and see how you think through some of these answers. Some of the questions are a little more fun, some of them are a little more thought-provoking, but it's a great opportunity, and you really don't need any preparation for this. The most prep I would say is make sure you know your application, make sure you know why you want to do this program and some of that sort of stuff, and then bring a paper and pen with you, because I think one of the best things is you see the question and it immediately, you got about, I think it's 60 seconds to think about your answer. Then camera goes on, 60 to 90 seconds to answer. That often can be a little flustering, but if you have a pad and paper, write down, okay, what is my answer going to be? What are the 3 main points I want to touch on and the conclusion to that? If you do that, it's sort of elementary school, paper writing, but you do that, and then as you're answering, if you feel like, oh, I'm losing my place or losing my train of thought, take a second, look over at the notes. It's okay to do that. Look over, check your notes, and then come back, finish strong. We love seeing that. It really is great to see. Don't get too flustered, don't get stressed out. This is a really great opportunity. What I can say is, with that, some people do end up trying to write out their entire answer. Don't do that. Don't read, don't, put it into Chat GPT or whatever. Um, be genuine, be authentic in these. It's a really great opportunity for us to get to learn more about you. And some of the questions are really interesting for us to get to learn more about your interests, how you go about life, different things that you're passionate about, and just some other fun facts and information about you that we all really enjoy getting to learn. So again, be authentic, don't over prepare for this, and have a lot of fun with it. It's a really great opportunity. And then, of course, you've submitted a great application. So usually about 2 to 3 weeks after the deadline, interview invitations will start going out. And I say start because we interview throughout the round. So if you don't get an invite, a week after, 2 weeks after, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be invited. That's just usually when, the first reads have started to move through. These interviews are done over Zoom. You don't need to come to New Haven or Yale for these, and they last about 30 minutes. And it's a really great opportunity for us to, again, dig deeper into aspects of the application, questions that we may have had, and get to know you a little bit better. Maybe you didn't answer something using the optional information essay, so this is an opportunity for us to ask you about that. Or maybe as we're reading your application, we'd love to learn more about the classes you're interested in taking and things that you want to do after Yale. This is where we're going to ask you about this. With that, this is also a great opportunity for you to tell us more about yourself. I think this is the part where your application really comes to life. We get a little snippet through the video questions, but this is your opportunity to shine and really put your best self forward. Um, Dress for success. Again, make sure you have a nice quiet place for that 30 minutes span. And again, come prepared. Make sure you review your resume, you review your application or the things that you've submitted before. It is a little bit, disheartening or troubling when, someone submitted an application stating they're really interested in, all these things. And then we get to the interview and we're like, what are you interested in doing? And they don't remember or they don't, it's like, was that actually something that you researched or no? So make sure that you are prepared for this. And it's okay to have your resume or have some of your application stuff with you. But, come prepared for that. And again, bring some questions too. This is a great opportunity for you to ask a question or two or ask a couple questions to the admissions team member that you're speaking with and get to know a little bit more about the program, the cohort, whatever it may be. And again, you have myself, Camino, we're very friendly. Our other colleagues, Kate and Evelyn, we're all super friendly. We are there. We're not scary. We're not going to be, as I guess the kids would say, grilling you with questions. Like, we're there to get to know you and get to learn more about you. And I almost like to think of it as more of a conversation than an interview at times, just to, really get to know how students or why students want to be a part of this amazing cohort. With that, I think we're going to pause here before the final piece of advice, Camino, and answer questions. Or do we want to do final piece of advice and then answer questions?
I think we're gonna go in and do the advice and then
All right.
take questions. There are no open questions. I have the ones that were pre-submitted, but I think we're just gonna do
Perfect.
our final piece of advice and then take the questions.
Perfect. So do you want me to kick it off, Camino, or do you want to kick it off?
Go for it.
Awesome. So I think again, I keep harping on it, but really prepare and plan ahead. The deadlines absolutely can sneak up on you, especially this year with that earlier round one. Deadlines will sneak up on you, and we may not be able to move forward with your application if everything isn't submitted. So make sure that test score is submitted. Make sure you reached out, as Camino mentioned, to your recommenders early and you've asked them for their letter of recommendation to be submitted. Make sure that you've gone through and you've put in your you've updated your resume. All those essays are ready to go. All of those things should be ready to go, and hopefully you won't have to wait until 11:59 p.m. to submit your application. If you do, that's okay, but it definitely eases everyone's stress levels a little bit. And then, like I said, as you're planning ahead, make sure that you're prepared. You have a good understanding of the program, what it can offer, and how it can help you. And if you're prepared and you've planned ahead, you'll be ready for the application, interview, and everything to come. What about you, Camino? Any final pieces of advice?
Yes, I do. I see that Francis has his hand raised. Francis, if you could put your question in the Q&A, that would be great because that's the way we're going to be answering the question. So write whatever question you have in the Q&A and we'll take it at the end. My piece of advice is this is a program that you customize yourself, right? So you have done all your academic journey, undergrad, your MEAN program, and now you have the opportunity to do this program that is customized. You decide what advanced management courses you want to take. You decide what classes you want to take at the School of Management or outside of the School of Management. So my advice is do the work before applying. Like we're going to be looking at why do you want the GBS for? And that has to make sense to us, right? This goes both ways. You are trying to impress us, but we're also trying to make sure that what you are trying to achieve, you will be able to with the program. So way too many times we see candidates who haven't done the pre-work that they need to do. What classes do you plan to take? What extracurriculars do you plan to join? What conferences, annual conferences that we have at Yale or speakers that they come frequently, you would like to sit and listen to? So those kind of things you have to do before applying so that when we read your application, it is clear that you're applying to our program, that you have done the work and that this is an application that is for us and for our program, and it's not an application that you could submit to any program at any school, that you're really talking to us and to our strengths and to our program, and so that we can totally assess whether this is the right fit for you and whether you are the right fit for us. That would be my piece of advice.
That's great.
Again, please submit your questions in the Q&A. We don't have any open questions as of now, but Matt, I think that we should take the questions that have been pre-submitted, that some people took the time to write some questions. But before we move on, please, thank you so much for joining. And we have our QR. Oh, sorry, Matt, can you go back to the last slide?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's great that they can have the 2 QR codes. So we're gonna be having an alumni panel tomorrow in our evening, 7 p.m. our time. I cannot recommend enough to join this panel. If it's in the middle of your night, which we understand, please still register, because we're going to be recording it and then sending the recording to our registered participants. So alumni have lived the experience. So nobody like them to tell you, how did they decide to join the program? What was the program like? What are they doing now? What, things they joined during the program. Matt and I work in admissions, and we can talk about the program all we want, but we haven't experienced it. And this is what our alumni are going to be sharing with you all tomorrow. So I encourage you to sign up for that, learn more about our GBS program on our website, download the brochure that Elena posted at the beginning of the webinar, and then connect with us. If you have questions that you don't want to ask live, please write to gbs@yale.edu. All of us, the whole team is behind this inbox. And this is the best way to get an answer as soon as possible. If you write to me or you write to Matt and we're, busy traveling or recruiting, you might have a much slower response. So please gbs@yale.edu within 24 hours, 48 max, you will get a reply from us. So anyway, we got questions coming in. And so, okay. We have a question about applying through M2M via ATC. So after submitting the application, are there other documents due to Yale, including those mentioned on this call? As I understand, Yale might ask for further documentation after the initial application submission. Okay, so we do have a very close partnership with ATC. HKUST, and UBC Souther, meaning that we have a joint application process. Yes, you might have to submit additional documents for us, but in the case of HSC, those documents will be less than in the instance of other partner schools that we have. So the essays, the ones that you submit for HSA, they will be fine for us because they already include questions that we have provided them with. We will still need the recommendation letters to be submitted directly to us. Probably the test score submitted directly to us. I think the transcripts, Matt, you probably know more about this than I do. What else they need to submit if they're applying M2M with HSA?
So let me think. M2M HSA, they send over a number of items. I think proof of employment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think. Proof of employment might ask for a resume, recommendation letters, proof of employment recommendation letters, and then video questions, I believe, are the
The
big
main, I
that
agree.
we
I agree. I think most of the other stuff we just transfer from your application to HSA. But proof of employment, video questions, and what was the third thing? And recommendation letters. Those have to be submitted, yeah, directly to us. Okay. Is there need-based scholarship for applicants? No. For this program, we only have merit scholarships, and you don't have to submit anything additional. So basically, we assess your application, and if you stand out in the pool, when we provide you with the admission letter, we will include the award. If there's any award, we will be including it in the admission letter. We don't give full rights, so you always have to plan accordingly for financing some part of the program. And our merit scholarships, they usually range from, well, 0 if you don't get anything, but usually from $10,000 all the way to half tuition. $50,000 is the maximum merit scholarship that we have awarded. So you have to, yeah, you have to plan for that. Currently holding a 3-year diploma in management studies and a 2-year bachelor in management would I qualify? You have to send everything to us, GBS at Yale EDU, and we will assess that. You do need a bachelor's and you do need a master's in management. I don't know if that diploma is a master's or it's not a master's. We do need a bachelor degree and a master's in management or equivalent. If you are unsure, send everything to us and we will assess and get back to you. Okay, so I think we've answered the ones that have been submitted live, but Matt, what qualities or experiences most clearly differentiate a strong GBS applicant from an average one?
I think experiences, I think, is tough because I think all of our students have very different experiences. We have people that come from backgrounds in fashion to automobile or transportation to, finance, consulting, that sort of stuff. So, I think, the big thing there would be, show us how you're different from uh, the other people in our applicant pool. So maybe you've done consulting. Well, how is your consulting different? Or what experience, knowledge, what did you learn? How are you different? Or what sets you apart? With that, I think one of the biggest things that separates a good application is you understand the program and what it offers. We oftentimes get students that will apply to the program and they don't really know why they need it or how this program can help them. And unfortunately, I think that's a bit it's to their detriment sometimes. If you're able to say, I believe these classes are going to help me achieve this goal and gain this knowledge, these clubs can really help me here. The opportunity to take classes across Yale is going to expand my knowledge. That really showcases you've researched the program, but you have a pathway here. If you're kind of trying to figure out, why or what you want to do in your career, that's absolutely okay. And you can explain that to us. But if you just say, I want to come to Yale because as Camino mentioned, because of the brand, because of the network, things like that, if you're not really diving into some of those, things, or you can't explain to us how this program is going to help you and what your pathway is here, then I think that oftentimes is what really gets applications pushed, I don't want to say pushed aside, but kind of, unfortunately makes us move on from that applicant. It's just they didn't do the research. They don't really know what it offers and what opportunities they have here.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. Um, do we give preference to candidates coming from GNAM schools versus candidates coming from non-GNAM schools?
No. So this is one, I think there is something a little funky, and this is not a preference. This is like, I think if you are at HC Paris, you have to apply in, is it round one? Just
Correct.
because of timing and some stuff that they have to figure out with HEC. But there is no preference. The benefit or the what you get because you are a GNAM partner school member is you get to submit your application and find out sooner about your admissions decision, which then allows you to start the visa process, which we all know there's a lot of things going on in the world and visas are a little bit funky. We were very lucky and all of our students were able to get their visas and get here, but it's nice to have that visa process started even sooner, as well as start looking for housing, start, figuring out what is the transportation situation like and all of that stuff. That's really the benefit to those earlier rounds or even that round one. I think one of the big things there is, we know our GNAM partner schools, so we expect, that these students have done a great job, but there is no, preferential treatment towards, non-GNAM or GNAM students.
Perfect. Again, I just want to let everybody know we're answering questions that have been pre-submitted by you when you register for the webinar. So we definitely want to answer all the questions, and we really appreciate you taking the time to submit these questions. So are there any qualities or experiences that we feel applicants often underestimate but actually matter to us? So I think that I can take this one, Matt, if that's okay. I think that the main thing that candidates don't understand, sometimes they're wonderful, but sometimes they underestimate how much we want to see the real person. How much we don't care about you telling us what you think we want to hear, because actually we don't want to hear what you think we want to hear. We want to get to know you. So I think they underestimate how much being real means to us, because again, we are going to be shaping the leaders of tomorrow, the ones that are going to make an impact in the world. If we don't see the real you, how can we assess whether you are going to help us advance our mission if you don't let us see you? So that I would say is the thing that I think people underestimate. They focus too much on trying to present a candidate that they think is what we want, that they forget to present the person that you are. That would be my advice there. Do we have a minimum GPA to apply?
No, similar to the test scores, and we don't require TOEFL or any of that stuff, but GMAT or GRE score and then GPA, there is no minimum test score, and I think, or GPA. And again, this goes back to we're looking at the whole application. If you have a little bit lower test score, a higher GPA always helps. Same thing in the reverse. But all that to say, if you don't put together a good application that shows that you've done your research, that you're being authentic and you know why or how Yale can help you, then that honestly, that sinks more applications, I think, than anything else, is people submitting an application that don't really know how Yale can help them, or they haven't really had that thought of why do I actually want to apply to this program and what am I really hoping to gain from it? That's honestly what does it more than the GMAT, GRE, or GPA. So definitely take it seriously. We want to see that. It always helps when it comes time for merit, but in terms of, everything else, make sure your whole application is up to par, not just, having a good GPA. And don't feel like just because your GPA might have suffered here or there, if it's a little bit lower, use the optional essay to explain why that is and how you're working forward from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. The last question that was pre-submitted was regarding OPT. OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. And so the question they asked is, if they don't declare the management science major, well, they still qualify for 1 year of OPT.
So without the management science major, that OPT, you may still be eligible for. There are again, OPT, there are a couple different pieces of criteria that you have to go through. But you do get the 1 year of OPT with completion of the degree, and then the 2 year STEM extension is potentially a thing. But you do have to, again, go through steps. There are a number of things, securing a job and all of that. So that's a good question for the CDO office and kind of those next steps. But we do have several students that have secured some of that, and they'd be great to reach out to. You can find some of them on our admissions ambassador page from this past year. Um, yeah.
But the short answer is yes. You are
Yes.
eligible for 1 year of OPT if you don't declare the STEM major.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So those were all the questions that were pre-submitted. So we just want to thank everybody. If there's any final questions, please post it on the Q&R. I'm sorry, in the Q&A, no QR. The QRs you have to scan to get further information, but in the Q&A, if you have other questions, we really, really appreciate your time. We don't want to take more than we need. We can give you back 8 minutes because we know you're all very busy. We're so excited about this cycle of applications. We can't wait to read your stories and your applications. So again, yes, we have multiple rounds, multiple partner schools we work with. So find your right path to the GBS, because we're here really looking forward to getting to know you and hopefully watch how your journey evolve through the GBS program and beyond. So thank you so much. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Elena. And we're here for you. Again, gbs@yale.edu if you have any further questions. Thank you so much.